Trippie Redd is one of the biggest artists in the SoundCloud era, and throughout his career, he has put out some of the most legendary albums in the past few years. And while Trippie has had massive success, having thousands of songs in the vault, he has also had many scrapped albums and many scrapped collab albums, with some notable ones being Life's a Trip 2 and even the Trippie and Carti scrapped album. But let's take a look at the last albums of Trippie's career and the current state of the album. And now starting with probably the most notable scrapped album, if you ask me, for all Trippie fans, it's gotta be Life's a Trip 2. Life's a Trip is obviously the most iconic and seen by many fans as the best Trippie album ever. And like, bro, just looking at this cover, it is just a one of a kind, bro. Easily the greatest cover of all time, and personally is my favorite album of all time. After dropping this classic in 2018, a year after in 2019, he actually would tease a sequel in an interview saying that he was thinking about making a Life's a Trip 2. And during 2020, that next year after, Pegasus did end up dropping, which wasn't loved by fans, which I still don't like understand because that album was fucking amazing. But after that, freaking Trippie would tease a Life's a Trip 2, aka Life's a Trip at Night, which was basically Trip at Night before the rage and hyperpop. And a lot of shit was actually teased for this album, like how it has no features and that it has a completely different theme. And I honestly wish that, yeah, we could have heard this album, because yo, V1 Trip at Night sounded like crazy before all the rage, bro. Like songs like Castro, Trip McKnight, Trials and Tribulations. Obviously, Life's a Trip at Night would turn into Trip at Night, and Trip at Night wasn't a sequel of Life's a Trip, it was more so a spin-off. But then in late 2023, 3 years later, bro teased it again in this story saying Life's a Trip 2, making every song on this album on a boat, taking trips for this world. And now, bro, as soon as I actually did see this freaking story, bro, I was hyped, and so was a lot of other Trippie fans, bro, because all of the projects that he actually did end up dropping in that year, that being Mansion Music, A Love, Letter 25, and Saint Michael V2, didn't get the best overall feedback, even though I personally fucking loved it. And he would spend the next few months working on it, teasing new snippets. But yeah, overall, he actually was pretty quiet about this album, but a lot of what us fans heard sounded pretty promising about this album. And he would drop a few singles like Band Okay, Let's Get It, Let's Go, but then he would scrap this album, which is probably because at the end of the day, the original Life's a Trip album is too good to replicate. And yeah, obviously Trippie's overall sound has evolved since 2018, right? Like obviously his voice sounds different, sounds a lot more like, you know, older. Obviously he still has vocals, but the overall aesthetic in general, I feel like Life's a Trip is a hard album to freaking replicate, bro. It's a absolute classic, right? And since scrapping that album, we actually have gotten a lot of songs leaked from that era, which sound very, very good, like songs like If You Feel Me, Face Your Fears, and more. And basically after scrapping Life's a Trip 2, Trippie would tease the next album, that being Live, Love, Laugh, Die, which would also be a scrap project. And now Live, Love, Laugh, Die was teased later last year with the acronym LLLD. And basically what made this album different from any prior Trippie album is that Trippie was using a different sound for the album. So yeah, instead of Trippie going back to his roots for Life's a Trip 2, he actually was trying a completely different sound, and he was basically changing his voice to what the fans like to call the nasal voice. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, here is a few examples.
Give her hell, then I get Chanel, hit her with that wine.
And he'd first roll out the album previewing snippets like Le Grande Blue and Double M Gang, which would both then leak. He's a song with Babyface Ray, and also this was the time period that Thick of It would drop with like, you know, KSI. So yeah, Trippie was being talked about a lot during this time, and there was a lot of new music being previewed as well. He'd go on Jinxie's stream, preview a couple of songs like, you know, produced by Filthy and Pierre, and Get New Dreads, which is fake, but hey, that's okay. And he'd also start to drop many songs on YouTube and Instagram, that first being Ho, which holy shit, bro, this song made me so hyped for the freaking album, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that is still the best song that he did drop for that Live, Love, Laugh, Die album rollout, bro, easily. And he then go on to drop 5 more songs like Outta Here, Strikeout, Scream, which, yo, speaking of fucking Outta Here, bro, this suit Trippie had French Montana out of all artists on this song, bro. Like, why? And speaking of features, the features for this album sounded super promising, and there obviously was a Trippie feature and Metro song teased, which I don't know what happened to that, and even a potential Uzi song. So yeah, man, I don't know what happened to that. And yeah, basically in February of this year, Trippie would end up scrapping the album and instead going back to his roots and not using that nasal sound anymore. Fast forward to now, now in August 2025, he actually did drop 40 songs on this separate SoundCloud account, which actually were all Live, Love, Laugh, Die era songs. So yeah, man, it actually is cool that, yeah, we did get to hear music from that era, right? I think this is Trippie's weakest era music-wise. I just prefer Trippie's actual voice rather than the nasal voice. Not saying it's bad, but he had much better eras like the Mansion Music era or even the St. Michael era, right? So yeah, honestly, I am not mad that he actually did scrap it. And this new album that he is teasing called NDA sounds way more fucking promising. So yeah, man, those are the two recent Trippie scrapped albums. And now taking it back to the early days during the A Love Letter to You 4 era, bro, amazing era. This actually was the time period that Trippie was pushing his 1400 label, that being artists like Chris King, RIP, K-Swav, Sunny 2.0, and many more. And a 1400-800 tape was teased with Trippie saying it in a Montreality interview that it is going to cover every side of 1400 and be a very versatile project and be produced by Pure Born on every damn song. Yeah, that shit crazy. And he even previewed a few songs off this album on this Club Ambition interview, with one of those songs being Exquisite with Shoot 'Em Up, bro. Oh my gosh, I'm still waiting for that song, bro. That shit is a absolute grail. And it was teased hella in, like, 2020. It was supposed to be the project after the A Love Letter to You 4 Deluxe, which obviously wasn't the case because Pegasus did end up dropping. I think a main reason on why this tape did not end up dropping is because in the middle of 2020, Trippie was kind of beefing with Pure after Pure did charge Trippie like fucking 80,000 for a beat. So maybe that might have pushed back the project. I don't fucking know. Since then, nothing has been teased. I mean, a lot has changed with the label, obviously with the passing of Chris King, rest in peace. And there is obviously so many new artists being the new face of 1400, like D-Tains, Charlie Connor, Block, Bala being the new wave of 1400. But yeah, man, the OG 1400-800 tape produced by Pure, man, is obviously long gone. But yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how that project would have sounded. And some other, like, projects that actually were scrapped by Trippie was this EP called Voodoo Child. Now, this was supposed to be the EP before Pegasus, before that Spooky Sounds EP that we actually did get. And this EP was supposed to have 5 songs that were on Pegasus plus Voodoo Child and Albedo, which both ended up leaking. It kind of sucks that this, I don't know, pre-Pegasus EP didn't end up dropping, because I feel like this would have been so much better for the overall Pegasus album rollout, right? Because this album did end up fucking leaking like 2 months before, which was so fucking crazy. Also, a project called Immortal or Nocturnal was also teased by Trippie, which did end up being exclamation marks. So yeah, again, nothing too major. But yeah, if I actually did miss any scrap solo Trippie albums, man, let me know in the comments down below. And now moving on to the Trippie scrap collab albums. So yeah, there is definitely a lot of, man. And now starting with probably the most iconic or most popular Trippie scrap collab album, and it's gotta be 1429, aka the Trippie Carti collab tape. And yeah, Trippie and Carti have collabed various times in the past, from like 2018 having hella leaks like Arm and Leg, Exotic, Carti being on exclamation mark with They Afraid of You, and then, like, that song being taken off, and Mr. Ray dropping being a huge hit, and then Mansion Music, which Carti did not end up clearing, which I'm still so sad to this day. Yeah, basically Trippie and Carti got a few songs in the vault, and this album would first be teased when Trippie would make a post in 2019 after the song with Ian Yor did end up dropping, that being Gone Girl, and he basically would ask his fans if they do want a Ian and Trippie EP, which was also scrapped too, because that shit did not end up dropping. And a fan in the comments did say that, nah, we want the Trippie and Carti collab tape instead. Trippie did and reply with Sooner Than Later, which then nothing has been teased since then besides the songs of both of them, like, dropping, that being They Afraid of You and Mr. Rage. Yeah, I literally die to hear a 1429 project, but I doubt it'll ever happen, because first thing first, Carti doesn't ever drop collab albums ever, let alone music himself. So yeah, this shit is probably forever fucking scrap. But yeah, just the thought of a Trippie and Carti collab album sounds insane. And now also a Trippie and Uzi collab would be teased. Now in 2021, obviously we did get Holy Smokes with Trippie and Uzi, a classic song, and basically when Trippie was teasing the song, Trippie would tease a 14 and 16 collab tape. But after this, nothing would be teased. So I mean, I don't know if Trippie and Uzi have any more songs in the vault. They probably do, because Uzi was supposed to be on Trippie's album last year. But yeah, I feel like Trippie and Uzi should seriously work together more, because both of them are prominent SoundCloud SoundCloud pioneers who both share a very similar fan base. And speaking of SoundCloud pioneers, a Trippie and Yachty tape was also teased back in the day. Now honestly, there is no exact name for this project, but yeah, back in 2018, Trippie and Yachty did drop a handful of bangers. Obviously Forever World, and then songs on SoundCloud, and even Trippie being on the birthday mix. Bro, Trippie and Yachty were an insane duo back in the freaking day, bro. And the collab tape from the both of them was teased back in the day, with Yachty even saying that his tape with Trippie is 90% done. So yeah, that shit kind of fucking crazy. It has been teased various times by Yachty that he actually is gonna drop a tape with Trippie, but honestly I feel like now in 2025 both artists kind of grew apart since they haven't worked with each other in years. I know Trippie was supposed to have him on St. Michael B2 with the song Trippie Bow, which I don't know why he fucking scrapped that song, because that shit would have fucking, you know, went crazy. I feel like a tape with the both of them would low-key fucking slap, bro. And the last collab tape that I do want to talk about, which is probably the most iconic Trippie duo, that being the 1400 999 collab tape. Now, obviously, and before Juice's passing, Trippie and Juice were a crazy fucking duo, having songs like 1400 999 Freestyle, 6 Kiss, and so many unreleased songs like Matt Hardy, and for Red, Biddy. Oh my gosh, so many, bruh. And in 2018, a Trippie and Juice collab album was actually teased first by Trippie in this interview.
Our tape gonna be stupid, nigga.
And yeah, after this video of Trippie actually mentioning this collab tape, not much has been said after that about this album, but yeah, I just like fucking know if a Trippie and Juice collab album ever came out, that shit would have changed everything. But also, every artist that Juice did end up working with before his passing was planning a collab tape with them, like Thugger, Yachty, Ski Mask. This dude Juice had so many songs with so many various artists, bro, and I can only imagine that yeah, Juice and Trippie have so many more songs in the vault that we haven't heard yet, right? But yeah, man, besides that, man, that is gonna conclude the video, man. If you guys do want more of these long form videos, let me know what artist videos do y'all want to see next, man. It's been homie channel. Love y'all. We out.